Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Our leading lady of today's show, AMC Movie News editor, Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome back to the Stream.tv studios. It is only the 10th of March, and we have had a very, very big month already for AMC. We did our first live stream of the premiere of Need for Speed. We had this very fun Guardians of the Galaxy Q&A this past weekend. And now, in AMC theaters everywhere, you can see our mugs on the big screen before the trailers. So it has been an exceptional year already, exceptional month, and we are so appreciative of your support and all your love. And to keep it an epic week, start of the week, I wanted to form the ultimate crossover, and it's happening. So, Ashley, who we got today?
Well, before we get to them, also here, writer-director Jon Schnepp.
What's up, man? Part of the crossover, son. It's happening.
Also here, one half of Schmoes Know, Kristian Harloff.
What's going on? I'm happy to be back, and you guys are absolutely crushing it. Really, congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Also here, the other half of Schmoes Know, Marc Ellis.
And he's single, ladies.
With the introduction of Electro, the Rhino, and the new Green Goblin, many fans have wondered if Marc Webb's The Amazing Spider-Man 2 would be too villain-heavy. Webb recently spoke out against this criticism and stated, "We're obviously familiar with the complaints people had. We're very careful to make sure the stories intertwine. For Peter Parker, it's very important that you create obstacles that are difficult to overcome." On the large scale of the production, Webb continued, "I'm going to embrace the spectacle. I'm not going to be beholden to smallness. I want it to be fantastic, to be big, to command and express that feeling when you're a kid and reading the comics. I didn't want to hide or shy away from that." Amy Rose, what do you make of Webb's comments?
I really like Marc Webb. I mean, he's done a good job with the Spider-Man franchise thus far, and 500 Days of Summer. I mean, he's not just restricted to this genre. I think he's very talented. And initially, I did feel like it was being very villain-heavy. I mean, we kept hearing all these villains coming from Oscorp, and we're like, okay, who's next? But we've also learned more that the Rhino's only going to be in, 4 minutes of the film, so it seems like they're going to set him up for a bigger presence in the third film. And, also the Green Goblin, I don't think he's going to have a big part in it as well, because part of the story of the Green Goblin that I love so much is the revenge aspect of it, from the succession of father to son. And if they don't show Norman and Chris Cooper kind of, why it's going to go to Dane DeHaan to Harry, I'm going to be a little disappointed, because I love that aspect of it. So I think that will start to see the setup there as well. Again, nothing's confirmed on that front yet. I know we're going to start seeing a little of the Green Goblin, but this, I think, is going to be Electro's story for the most part. I mean, they've said Rise of Electro. We're going to hear, the Max background of Jamie Foxx's character and all of that, and he's a great character. So I think they know what they're doing. And this is a comic book movie. It is supposed to be a grand scale, and I really do like what they did with the first film, even though I didn't feel like it brought anything really fresh and original from the Raimi's films, but I think this film is going to. So I have faith in this production team, and I also don't think they're going to be stealing screen time for each other, because they admitted that, the Rhino's only in literally 4 minutes. So what do you think, Kristian?
It scares me. Yeah, it doesn't. It's because first of all, they're showing way too many trailers, way too many clips. There's been like 6 trailers. I don't know how many trailers, but so much, and each trailer seems like a different movie. There's the Harry Osborn angle. There is the Rhino angle. There is the stuff happening with Gwen Stacy, and then there's the Edward Electro story from, and it's I don't know. I mean, I have faith that I do like Marc Webb, very much so, but I think there's way too much going on. Sony already has put so much money in the fact that this is like their franchise. This is all of their Marvel movies. They're branching everything off of Spider-Man. So why not hold some of that if you're going to branch out and make so many movies? This seems like it's compacted. How long's the movie? 6 hours? So I'm skeptical.
Can you imagine if they kept Mary Jane in this too? Whoosh.
Yeah.
8 hours.
What do you think, Mr. Ellis?
I just hope the movie is better than that statement by Marc Webb. Like, I hate that he opened with, "We're familiar with everybody hating on the movie so far." Like, don't acknowledge that right off the bat, that you're familiar with all these complaints that fans are having. I'm fine with having a lot of villains in the movie if they do it in the way that we get to see Spider-Man versus Electro, and then we get to meet these other people, and you have that brooding backstory with the Goblins that's going to kind of permeate through a trilogy, and then maybe the Rhino gets set up for the next one. But you can't make the same mistake that they did in Spider-Man 3, where it's like you introduce these villains, and then you kill them off before we even get a chance to know them and hate them. Like, I didn't even hate Venom. I didn't get to know the guy enough to despise him.
You are.
So I still hated it until
like
Grace was ridiculous. Yeah. Just saying.
I like his statement, except for the smallness. That made me laugh. It's like, oh, that's a weird way of saying it. But and also the picture is disconcerting. It looks like Wolverine slashed his face. Just that photo they decided to pick. But you know, the thing that I'm looking forward to is the introduction of all these villains. It doesn't bother me because they're doing it organically all through Oscorp. So it seems like the Rhino and all the other iterations, like the Vulture and Dr. Octopus, you saw like that, you know, preview of it's all coming from one source, which is Oscorp.
I think it feels rushed when you see the trailer, because in the trailer, they're trying to sell the movie to everybody. I don't think that a lot of fans are going to be like, well, I didn't get to see the Rhino, so I'm not going to see this movie now. But in a trailer, in 2 minutes, they want to show as much as possible, and I get that. But I also get that it makes fans nervous because they didn't get to see the whole movie yet. So I have faith in Marc Webb. I love the first movie. I think it's going to work just fine, but I understand why people are like that. It looks like a lot of stuff, because we've been down this road so many times with superhero movies, overblowing and having too much in there.
Sure.
And I'm excited to see more of the Gwen and Peter relationship. Like, that is my favorite relationship in comics.
I want villains. I don't want relationships.
Come on. See, that's why you're single, buddy. Just saying. All right, what's next?
Last month, we learned that Patrick Wilson was close to locking a deal to join Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. There were no real details as to what character he would play, but now in a very brief interview at South by Southwest, he did confirm that his role is an important one. In a rapid-fire style Q&A, Wilson addressed each answer with one word, revealing that he has read the script, he has not tried on a costume, he can't say if his character is good or evil, and when asked if his role is big or small, he answered with important. Schnepp, what do you make of Wilson's cryptic but slightly more telling answers?
Interesting? That's my one-word answer. No. What's up with the one word? They're like, you're restricted to only some weird, like Marvel thing. Only one-word answers will do for your part, Patrick Wilson. He should have just said night owl to every question. It would have been like, night owl. Yeah, you know what I said a couple weeks ago? I think he's going to play a villain because it seems like I think he would rock that. So hopefully he's playing a villain. I don't know what character he's going to play. You know, Fisk, he's going to play the Kingpin. No, I don't know. No way. So I don't know. But I buy him 100%. We're not doing buy and sell, but I'd like to see whatever he's going to do in it.
We're going to buy it anyway. Yeah. Ellis?
Michael Douglas is in this movie, right? Yeah. And Patrick Wilson kind of looks like a young Michael Douglas, right? So I was thinking that it's either going to be like he plays him in flashbacks. Yeah. But I think that's kind of a waste of Patrick Wilson. Like, when was the last time you really got into a flashback in a movie? You see it for like 5 minutes, and you're like, okay, let's get back to the movie. Or he's playing a villain. Like, I just can't see him playing a good guy, especially what he did in Insidious 2, when he kind of, you go into the movie rooting for the guy, and then you're like, oh, wait, he's starting to change. Yeah. And I think that what he showed in that, he could be a little twisted in this movie, too, against Paul Rudd. So it's exciting that he's in the movie. I mean, again, beautiful blue eyes.
Ooh, I completely agree there. Yeah, he does, now that you mention it, he could be a younger Michael Douglas. I could see that. But, I mean, that would still be an important role. I mean, obviously one of the main characters, but I think it would be a waste of talent because I want him to be a villain. Insidious 2, a lot of people didn't like it. I'm always championing it. It was so weird and fabulous and so many different like meshes of genres of horror films, and that's my ish. I almost just cussed again. I think that would be a waste to only do flashbacks because I do want him as a more dominant role, and we've seen he can go really kooky and weird, so I think he would be a fantastic villain. But I'm just happy to hear that he's confirming he's read the script and he's definitely going to be in the film. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing for me is that I'm a big fan. I think that he is a tremendous actor, and I'm just happy that he's confirming basically that he's in the film. And I think that you're going to have to make him a villain at this point too, because you want to see him and Paul Rudd both as good guys. At least he's like kind of like Don Cheadle in Iron Man, and I don't really want to see that. But what it also confirms to me though is that Marvel is so good with their casting. Like they're going after the right people, and they know that it's more about the quality and not just the big star. And because he's he's known, but he's not a guy that just marquee off the top. He's just a guy that it's quality. Let's get this guy who's going to sell the character we need to sell. So I'm very happy that they got him, and I'm glad he's going to be in the movie. I'm excited for Ant-Man.
Me too.
Didn't he? He was already in a flashback in Prometheus. He played that girl's dad.
That's right, yeah. And if he plays the young Michael Douglas, then you have to cast like a 5-year-old actress to play Catherine Zeta-Jones, and nobody wants to see that.
It'd be weird if it was flashback material, but so I can't wait to see him play the villain.
Yeah.
Maybe he's another shrinking guy. He's like,
right.
I'm the bee man, whatever.
I'm really excited for Wright's take on this. I think he's the perfect guy to direct a film like this. And you're right, you mentioned unconventional, just kind of like the decisions of the actors and stuff. Evangeline Lilly, Michael Pena, Michael Douglas, Paul Rudd, they're all unconventional, but really good choices. So I'm really liking everything I'm seeing so far. All right, guys, we have now reached the buy or sell portion of our show. Miss Ashley's going to read off a couple other items going on in the world of movie news, and we're simply going to say if we buy or sell it. What you got?
It's been announced that at the MTV Movie Awards on April 13th, that Mark Wahlberg will receive the MTV Generation Award. Stephen Friedman, president of MTV, stated, Mark Wahlberg is the definition of a modern-day Renaissance man. From Dirk Diggler to The Departed, The Basketball Diaries to Ted, Entourage to The Fighter, in front of the camera and behind, he's done it all and he's always memorable. Kristian, buy or sell that Wahlberg seems like a good fit for this award?
Buy. Absolutely buy. I mean, look, he is 40-something years old, so the MTV generation is 106. So in that aspect, yes. But again, the guy has done so much with his career, and and we also didn't mention Boardwalk Empire and stuff that he has a stamp on it. He's a brilliant producer. He's a good actor. He's a likable actor as well too. So, and he's one of these guys that he has started like. And if you're old enough to remember the Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, then good for you.
Yeah.
You're in my age bracket. But it's just he's just one of these guys. He's consistently around. It is hard to sustain the career that he has had. And it's one of these things where he'll be in a blockbuster, then he'll just produce a show and it hits. So yeah, if anybody needs to be honored for especially this type of award, it's Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I agree. I buy it as well. I really like Mark Wahlberg. I don't think he's a phenomenal actor by any means. I kind of always see Mark Wahlberg in there, but I still really like him. And he's got street cred. I'm a really big fan of him. Lone Survivor, he was really solid in that film. I still think Ben Foster kind of stole the show for me, but he was great. And he's just so damn likable. And I think he's an even more impressive producer, like you were mentioning then. So I think in 106 years, dog years, whatever he is, I think this is a really good choice. Shep?
Yeah, anybody who can technically erase the happening from ever happening. Like people are like, yeah, we're going to mention all these other movies he was in, but we're not going to mention the Sham Hammer. It's like, he's like, that was just a momentary glitch. Yeah, he deserves it, 100%.
Sham Hammer wishes that people wouldn't mention him in association with that movie either, but he's not so lucky.
Pain and Gain, I mean, it's like you're watching Wahlberg just rock it. I mean, it's like I think some of the best actors, the marquee actors, are just like, elements of themselves they bring to every single role. So he's one of those kind of actors where it's like, it's Marky Mark doing this role, but he adds a little bit of flavor here or there. So
a little flavor, yeah.
Yeah, and Kristian made the point, this isn't the Oscars giving him a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's MTV, and it's perfect for MTV. First, because he started out as Marky Mark, so he started out on MTV. It's kind of like they're saying, this is one of our own. They kind of grew up, and it gives MTV an excuse to play a music video for the first time in like 10 years.
That's
so
right.
You can actually get to see Marky Mark do a music video again, and then to see where he came from. It is the perfect award. It's everything. The stars have a line for Mr. Wahlberg.
Come on, come on.
Is that a Marky Mark song? I don't remember any Marky Mark songs.
I don't either, but I still love him.
Some holes in my childhood, that's one of them.
I like that song.
Holes in my
Some
childhood.
holes in my childhood keep coming up, holes in my childhood. So,
That was the song at the end of A League of Their Own, I think.
We have to have at least one little jam session per show. It's kind of Shep in my way, so we'll see what else comes. Ashley, what's next?
At our Guardians of the Galaxy Q&A this past weekend, Kevin Feige, Chris Pratt, and James Gunn discussed the upcoming film. When asked if one of Marvel's famous post-credit scenes would be included that would connect to the MCU, Feige stated, "We don't look at those post-credit scenes as mandatory in any way. If we have something fun, we'll add it. That's part of the fun for sitting through the credits. We always build in additional time for when a cool idea comes up. James has had some cool ideas." Mark, buy or sell that we will see a post-credit scene in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Ashley, what time does the store open and how early can I get in line? This is definitely. I don't have kids that I know of, but if I had kids, I would not only bet their lives on it, I would bet their very souls on the fact that there's going to be a post-credit scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, because look at where Guardians of the Galaxy came from. We've actually seen a little bit of it on the big screen already in a post-credit scene. I won't spoil it for you kids, but we've already seen that. And so coming from that, of course they're going to build something in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because it gets Marvel people into the theater because they're like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this Guardians thing, but I bet the end credit might try to tie it into something else that we're more familiar with. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, there has to be one. I mean, I love Feige. He's a god to all of us. He really is. He knows exactly what he's doing here. But to say that, they're not planning it, I mean, we look forward to this. When else do we stay for the credits? Sorry. Like, I love that
sorry, Key Grips.
Sorry, guys. But I just love that it does tease what's coming. And James Gunn, if he has good ideas, of course he's going to have good ideas. He's a nut and fabulous, and I love him. So, yeah, I really look forward to these, and there's got to be one.
I buy it as well, too, because there's the first thing, the reason why he said he could be covering himself and basically saying it just might not be as good as you want it to be. Meaning, because the Iron Man 3 post was disappointing to a lot of people.
It had nothing to do with anything.
There was nothing. It was just fun. So he was saying we'd like to do it for fun. I think the real question should maybe be, will there be two of them, like in the Avengers? Because one usually, I think that's what they do that's fun, is they set one up that's going to continue the universe, and then they give you one fun one that just means nothing, and you're cool with that. So I think there will be one. I can't wait to see, because you have to tie everything that's going to happen to Phase 3 now, and just all this stuff. There's so much going on. Will we see an Ant-Man eventually? Maybe not in this movie, but just something cool has to happen in these postings.
Like in Thor, the two.
The little creature.
Jumping around.
Yeah, and at the end, right.
So now, not only do they have to do one, they have to do two now.
Raise the stakes, Phase 3,
I think Feige was just saying, don't expect it all the time, even though we're going to do it. And every other company, like Fox, is ripping us off with the post-credits. They did it with Wolverine. The best part of Wolverine was the end scene. That was after the credits.
The best end credit scene ever.
And the funny thing, too, is now, and other studios are being held to that.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have it, because Man of Steel, people are sitting there going, oh, what's going to happen next? And when he didn't, people booing.
Yeah.
The screen, like, we don't
Can't believe they ripped us off. What do you mean? Marvel is good. What? That Marvel? So Feige's just like, we might keep doing it, but they'll probably do 3 now.
Right.
But I want to pump the brakes on that, because eventually it's just going to be the whole movie starts out as the post-credits. And then it's just like, here's some credits, here's this, here's this, here's this.
Well, I'm sort of like, I'm digging it, because they should do a pre-film, like even before the credits, like, here's an early, 2-minute scene of Ant-Man. That's like, what? Because it's like a meanwhile in comic books. They sometimes throw away that's what keeps the Marvel universe so cool to me, is all these characters are existing at the same time, and because they own all this giant branch of characters, they can do that now. Not with Spider-Man just swinging by, but all the characters that they own.
Meanwhile,
please have Spider-Man swinging by.
I wonder if it's going to carry into the rest of Disney properties, like Star Wars, because all the spin-off movies too. So I'm very curious about it.
Or throw
Loki
Maleficent
in Star
there?
Wars?
Yeah, Loki's going to be
horrible.
Yeah, no.
Loki all day, every day, just saying. All right, what's next?
Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel broke records this weekend for the highest-grossing limited live-action debut of all time, averaging more than $200,000 per theater for its limited 4-theater debut in New York and LA. It beat out Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, which previously held the record. Amy Rose, buy or sell The Grand Budapest Hotel, setting a new record?
Enthusiastic buy. Wes Anderson does it again and again. He has proven why he's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. His characters are so memorable. His shots, they're so Wes Anderson. No one can do it like he does. And this was a very dark film for him, but it was still whimsical at the same time. And I loved it. And Gustav, Ralph Fiennes, he is one of my favorite Wes Anderson characters now. And to think that he could beat out Royal Tenenbaums and all these other amazing Life Aquatic, everything, Rushmore, he's just one of the best filmmakers ever. And this film is so unique, and it should not be a limited release to begin with. So I'm glad that it was as successful as it was. Did you guys see it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's about a hotel?
Yeah, but I think I would buy it in the fact that it's Wes Anderson. He has this, it's like a cult following as well. Too. People, if they're an event to see his films. Only reason I would sell it is because there's probably a caveat why it beat The Master. Paul Thomas Anderson movies are like 2.5, 3 hours long. This movie was probably, what, 145 or something? Yeah, so it's shorter, so the amount of screens it probably could play on, I don't know. But that's it's a silly thing. It's a buy.
No, I'm selling it.
Because you're selling it.
I'm selling it.
Why?
Because it's 4 theaters. He could have sent out a massive tweet and done a MySpace blast, and I got all his Facebook friends to go,
Wait, MySpace? What's
that?
No one's on MySpace.
I'm going to use the Friendster.
Yeah.
What's that Marky Mark song?
The beta version of Friendster.
Is Tom still alive?
He could have logged on to Prodigy. I just think that it's 4 theaters. It's very exciting, but it's the highest grossing live limited live action release. It's like, it's cool, but it's 4 theaters, you know? It's okay, nice, job well done.
Well, it's impressive on those 4 theaters.
Yeah.
Don't you diss my Anderson, Shep?
I buy that it made all that money in 4 theaters. I just couldn't make it to one of those 4 theaters. It was very far away from me. No, it wasn't. I just was really busy. I can't wait to see the film. I love all of his films. I loved Moonrise Kingdom, so I'm really excited to see. Bring on the darkness, man. I can't wait to see a darker Anderson film.
And Willem Dafoe, I don't want to give away his character, but I'm just wow. Just wow. I'm so excited.
If you're on MySpace, you would have known which theater it was.
Right, I know. I don't check in anymore.
All right, guys, before we get into Mailbag, I want to remind you of a really fun event we have coming up. Captain America double feature on the 3rd. Tickets are now available. It starts at 5:30. We're going to show the first Avenger first, obviously, and then the Winter Soldier premiere. I'm actually seeing it tonight.
Whoa.
Not going to rub it in. I'm freaking out, and I'll be sure to give you a full report tomorrow, if I can, if they don't make me sign my life away. So be sure to check amctheaters.com for all your local theater information and get those tickets, because I'm pretty confident it's going to sell out. Those events are so fun because it's like the real fans. Only the real diehard fans are going to sit there for that long time. So yeah. All right, so now we are on to Mailbag, taking your user-submitted questions by popular demand. Miss Ashley has a couple picked out. What's on the floor for today?
Xavier Reed writes, is Guy Ritchie still continuing RocknRolla 2, aka The Real RocknRolla? I know the film is not as great as Ritchie's previous gangster flicks, but the film has a great cast, and I'd love to see more of them. Thanks and more power.
All right, Schneppinator, I'll let you take this one first.
Not as great as most other Guy Ritchie films is an understatement. I was saying earlier, I didn't actually get through all of RocknRolla because I turned it off like 20 minutes in because I hated it. So, and I'm a guy who actually got through all of Revolver. So, figure that one out. Maybe I'm missing out. And I watched the trailer this morning. I was like, you know, I don't remember any of those scenes because I turned it off too early. So maybe I missed out. I'm willing to give it another shot. So, but for me, selling it. I know it's a mailbag question, but I sell it, son. So.
Kristian?
I actually really enjoyed RocknRolla a lot, but I do not think that this is going to happen at all, and for the reasons we kind of have some information on it. And the fact that, I guess Joel Silver at Dark Castle, who owns the rights to it, he apparently had a lawsuit with the financiers of the film. Anyways, there's a back and forth. I don't know if that's settled, but apparently Guy Ritchie did have a script for it. It was going around, but no one has really picked it up yet. So as of right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, and these things take forever. And the first one wasn't such a smash hit to warrant a second one.
I did also like the film. I don't share your sentiments, Dream Crusher, but I know it's no Snatch, it's no Lock, Stock. I mean, Snatch is still one of my favorite movies of all time. But I love Guy Ritchie's style. I do. I love his edits and his cuts and just his pacing and everything, and also very memorable character. So I did really like it. I mean, we haven't really heard much on this front in a while, and what you just said makes me think we're not going to see it. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. I did enjoy it. And before we get to Mr. Ellis's statement.
Hi.
I just want to remind you, we are going to take a couple live viewer submitted questions. So Miss Ashley, be nice to her because she is the gatekeeper today. So RocknRolla, what you think?
Yeah, then I'll be quick. I liked RocknRolla. I don't care to see a sequel, but I thought it was cool. 20 minutes? 20? I made it through half of movie 43 before I left. You can't make it 20
It was
minutes.
like simmering hatred at like 5 minutes in. You know what? It's like, to me, it was like so cartoony. Like, I feel like he just went full-bore cartoon, but in a bad way, not a good way.
Okay.
Not like a Roger Rabbit kind of way, but in like, oh, it's everybody's cardboard, and like, and transparently when they...
You missed the ending where they go to Toontown, because you left.
And it's
I'm
awesome.
gonna watch it now.
Who doesn't want Toontown in their lives?
Not in a rock and roll Guy Ritchie movie.
Was that it? That's all you had to say about it?
Well, we're creating horrible movies up here. It's like, let's have RocknRolla 2, but with Bob Hoskins coming back and then some dip involved.
It's called RocknRolla Half Style, is what it's called.
If horrible movie means awesome.
All right, what's next?
Manu Shoker writes, "Hey AMC, been watching the show for months now and you guys do a fantastic job. My question is regarding the movie Gladiator. Despite the odds of this being pretty slim, there's been speculation of doing a sequel for years. But it would obviously be difficult to continue with such a flawless story like the original film, given Russell Crowe's character dies. So instead of a sequel, would the studio ever consider a Gladiator prequel, with Proximo being the main character? The setting could take place decades before the events of the first film, in which they could do the backstory of how Marcus Aurelius came to be in power, while keeping the main focus on Proximo and how he won his freedom as a gladiator. Thanks."
Thank you for the question. You've obviously thought about this. That's very detailed.
More writing I've done in the last 5 years.
I love Gladiator as well. I actually rewatched it about a month ago, and I love that film. And let's be honest, Ridley Scott, I was disappointed with Prometheus. I know not everyone felt that way, but I was, because my expectations were sky high. The Counselor, we're just gonna let that sit right there. So yeah, I think he could really use a film like this. I don't think it's gonna happen. Would I be into it? Yes. I think sometimes when they do sequels again and again, it loses some of the magic and nostalgia of the story. But I am interested. I'm a sucker for origin stories. So I really do think that prequels sometimes are the better method of, explaining the story in more depth. But I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. Is it possible? Of course. But yeah, I'm interested to see what Ridley's going to do next after, obviously, the next biblical epic that's coming out soon. What do you think?
Look, let's wash the smell of Pompeii away. Give me this thing. It's like, because if we could have Ridley Scott do it, and I think that's a really good idea for that prequel as well. Plus the fact you get to see more history and what kind of they mix and match what happened and what didn't, but to get more of that stuff and more of that feel, and to bring back that epic score by Hans Zimmer would be great. So there's a lot you could do there. You don't have to lead up to the events of Maximus and all that, because again, we can pull from history, and it's not really a sequel, even necessarily a prequel all the way, because these characters don't have much to do in Gladiator. But yeah, sign me up.
And how good was Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I watched it again. I was like, he really would have been the perfect Lex Luthor.
See him as a baby.
I think it's a horrible idea. I think making a sequel to I loved Gladiator. I think I saw it in the theater like 3 times.
Yeah.
I bought the DVD, watched all the extras.
You bought the DVD?
I bought the DVD.
Damn.
I know. In this day and age when people don't actually buy physical items anymore, back about 10 years ago, people bought these things called DVDs. Now it's Blu-ray. And I loved it.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
DVDs. Yeah, it's a great film. Does it need a sequel or a prequel? Absolutely not. I think Ridley Scott should make a sequel to White Squall before he makes a sequel to Gladiator.
That movie crushed me. I absolutely
what about
lost
Black Rain? Do a mashup.
And they're talking Blade Runner also. So you don't know if he's going, because apparently from what Blade Runner is saying, that he's more into that right now. So this ever happening is probably either not going to happen or definitely not going to have him
involved.
involved.
Think he'll be involved at all.
And then I don't want to see it.
If Scott Free was just like some kind of entity producing, he won't even be involved either. So I don't think it's. I really don't think it's that great of an idea. I mean.
Aww.
Poor guy.
No, I mean, I'm just saying,
liked it.
some films should just be standalone. Like, did you ever see Jaws? Yeah. Did you see Jaws 2? Not really.
But don't you think that's different though, in regards, because Jaws 2, you're continuing that one thread. This your point, because you just from the Brodies, you're taking all that stuff. When you're going back into history with everything that happened to the Romans, there's so much to pull for. So you essentially could pull a good idea out of that.
You could, but the fear that I have is that you would also ruin Gladiator. It's like the Matrix sequels ruined the first movie. For me, it's like a prequel. If it's like Gladiator, the early years or whatever, then when people 20 years from now is like, you ever see Gladiator? Nah, I saw the Gladiator, the first one. Gladiator, the early years.
I want to combine your guys' movie with Gladiator Jaws. I think that could work. That's got legs. I don't want to see this happen either, because it's such a fine line. Like you mentioned Pompeii. Even if Ridley Scott's involved, there's just a lot of stars that have to align to make a really great epic like that, and it can err on the side of cheesy so easily. It's like when you watch Star Wars, that so easily could have turned into Flash Gordon, something like that. So I really don't care about seeing.
How dare you bring Flash into this
I love Flash Gordon.
It's so bad. It is so bad. It made me like Queen less.
Ted would disagree.
Ted's a stuffed animal.
Hoffman, destroy him.
Exactly.
So you brought up Blade Runner 2. Would you like to see that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, because you're going to have the core characters involved too, and because for some reason Harrison Ford has gotten to a place now. He's rumored heavily to be in Episode 7, and that deal was contingent on the fact that he gets to do another Indiana Jones film, so he's pushing that. And he's apparently really interested in doing Blade Runner, so he has this resurgence to, I guess, appease fans.
Make
as
money?
Well, no, but not,
Make
I don't
money,
necessarily.
make money,
he
money,
will make money,
money.
obviously,
Yeah.
but that's not the driving force behind this, because you're not going to make 3 franchise films like that unless you want to go out with a bang.
Sealing his legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because that last thing that he did in Indiana Jones, he knew that was garbage. They had the Frank Darabont one sealed, locked, and delivered. George Lucas poo-pooed it, and that was the one that he was championing.
I'm so angry about that.
Yeah, so now he's able to do that. So I think that Blade Runner will happen, and I think Harrison Ford will be back.
All right. I would also like to see a Blade Runner. I love Blade
Yeah,
Runner.
it's not overrated.
It's not.
It's one of the most amazing
Campia
science fiction
nonsense.
films ever made.
It is. All right, Ashley, we don't have much time left, so let's pick a couple questions.
Phil 2026 writes, what is your most anticipated movie of 2014?
Mine is just the post-credit scene in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Apes.
X-Men Days of Future Past is up there for me. X-Men all day, every day, and I just love everything I've seen for it so far, so I'm really excited about that. There's a lot more, but that was the tip of my tongue.
I want to talk to Caesar. I can't
Yes.
wait for
Yes.
Apes. I'm dying for it.
I'm looking forward
too.
to Transcendence right now. Because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
popping off right off the bat. Like, that's what, there's a whole bunch of them. Spider-Man, X-Men, all these
Yeah.
movies I'm looking forward to. But that one is really, because it's a brand new science fiction
Yeah.
film. So I'm looking forward to that.
And Johnny Depp back in those kind of roles. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see that.
Not a weird clown
Yeah.
pirate. Hey! Yeah.
That was fun, but yeah. All
Yeah,
right,
there's
what's-
a huge lizard that's knocking on my door, but I still got to go with Guardians of the Galaxy. And seeing what you guys did this past weekend with the Q&A did nothing to temper that flame.
Success.
Chris Pratt, great bone structure up close. Oh, wow.
What's next, lady?
Eric Tish writes, will we ever see Tina Fey and Amy Poehler host the Oscars? If yes, will they be better than the recent hosts?
I love them hosting the Globes, but I think that would be not a good decision because it will always be compared to that show. And the Oscars are supposed to be bigger and better, and they're taken much more seriously. So I don't think that we would ever see it. I actually interviewed Tina for the Muppets this weekend. She's literally the coolest, most fabulous woman ever. I just want more Tina Fey, but I don't think that would be smart. And, comedians are kind of the best hosts. Ellen was fine. I thought she was fine, but she played it a little too safe for me. But yeah, I think that would be a mistake to recycle hosts from other award show. What do you think?
I think Tina Fey might do it on her own and then have a sketch with Amy Poehler. I think that's the way to do that because the Oscars really hate when they have to borrow an idea from the Golden Globes.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they don't want to do Best Musical or Comedies because the Golden Globes came up with it. So God forbid the Oscars didn't come up with it first. And I think that's why you wouldn't see that. I think they'd be great hosting the Oscars, though.
I think Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader would be an awesome duo, personally. What do you think?
I think that as far as the question goes, can they be better than the past hosts? I mean, you put side by side with James Franco and Anne Hathaway, and it's obviously
Anyone.
yes.
Anyone can.
But as far as I think they'll be approached. It's a matter of what they do. The Golden Globes, you can be more fun. Everyone's hammered while they're doing it anyway. So, like you said, the Oscars are more serious.
Yeah.
So I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
But Ellen for me was okay.
Yeah, she was just kind of,
Yeah.
like she's cute. Pizza, we get it. You're
Right.
bringing pizza.
She loves that crowd work.
I agree. I mean, if they were they might grab one and then bring the other one on for a sketch. I'm rooting for Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy.
Oh,
Like
that'd
their
be great.
combination power from
yeah.
Bowfinger. So they're just like, that would be a great duo.
Yeah.
Steve Martin was great, too. Billy Crystal, still my favorite. I just like a little more pizzazz,
How
you
about
know?
Shia LaBeouf with the bag on his head?
Now
Still
you're onto
not
something.
famous.
No.
Yeah. Everybody wears bags, but with something written on it. It's a special artsy Oscar next year.
That I'm into.
And everyone has to do this.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I would like to thank my fun panel. Sitting to my left, we have Mr. Mark Ellis. Where can people find you?
You can tweet me and Kristian at Schmoes Know and check out our website, schmoesknow.com. My Twitter handle is 5150 Ellis, not Ellis5150.
All right.
Somebody's getting fired.
And Mr. Kristian Harloff, where can people find you?
You can subscribe right here on YouTube and go to Schmoes Know and subscribe there. And also, we have our award show, the You Reviewers show, that is going to be debuting today on Jeremy John's channel and then tomorrow on our channel. So make sure you check that out.
Cool. Writer-director, Mr. John Schnepp-Izzle. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter and Instagram at John Schnepp.
And MySpace.
MySpace and Friendster and Xnog. Xnog.org is the special place. Xnog, check it out. Xnog.org. Xnog.
And our lovely host for today, Miss Ashley Mova. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Ashley Mova. Have a good one, guys.
And I'm Amy Rose with AMC Movie News. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find me at all the relevant social channels, and we'll be sure to see you tomorrow. John actually ditched us again for Captain America Junket. He was supposed to be in New York, and I was like, am I gonna get to do this one? But of course I'm not. So Campia will be sure to report back on how that all went. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much. Mwah.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.